Hey man, I heard you wanted to talk to me. I heard you were thinking that you were having some issues with feeling empty inside. Now, I know the way you're feeling because, I've been there myself. And the biggest thing is to really figure out why, right? Because I know you might be in this, you might have gone down this path, right? Essentially, maybe your parents wanted you to go to college. Maybe they sought you off, you did the whole college thing, you got out, you got the job, you got the family, you got the kids, and you got all these things accomplished that you thought would fulfill you, right? But yet you still, at the end of the day, you feel like you're empty. Am I right? Could this be you? Maybe it's not. Maybe there's another reason. Maybe you have a relationship that's been there for a long time, and maybe you felt fulfilled at some point. But then now what? Where do you go from here? You're still feeling empty. Well, the biggest thing is what I've found is that what it could be, right? Now just imagine what you used to do, right, before any of these things happened. Or go back to a point in which you felt fulfilled, where you didn't feel empty. What were you doing in that time? Were you actually, enjoying yourselves? Were you doing the things that you wanted to do? And then now you feel like maybe you are, you have that family, you have that career, you've gone to college or whatever, and you've done all these things, right? At this point, right, do you even feel like you were anything like that person back then, before all this other stuff happened? And this is what I've found, is that you become this shell of yourself, right? That you kind of lose your whole sense of identity going through this process, right? Now you thought this was the best way to go, so you went this way, and getting there, achieving those things, you still feel unfulfilled. And this is the biggest thing, because a lot of times you don't know who you are anymore. And you can lose your sense of fulfillment, right? You can feel empty because of this. Because you aren't doing the things that you are. You don't even know who you are anymore, right? That's why you feel empty. You haven't gone to do the things that you wanted to. At one point in your life, you did anything you wanted to. Now maybe now you have kids or you have a family, so you have responsibility. But ultimately, it's finding what makes you you, identifying yourself. The reason you don't feel fulfilled is because you aren't doing those things that you enjoy. You aren't experiencing life. You had a checklist at one point, you've accomplished that, and now that you don't have that checklist anymore, you feel like there's nothing more to go on, right? You feel like maybe there's something missing, or you're waiting for that second checklist. Perhaps it's just more of the fact that you haven't gone after those things you've been curious about, those things that make you feel alive. Because at one point in your life, you did those things. At one point in your life, you did whatever you wanted to, you explored, you were curious, and you did those things. And those things were fun. Those things made you feel alive. You didn't feel empty then. The thought of being empty didn't ever cross your mind, right? You thought man, I could live like this forever. Now I just want to get here, so I accomplish all these things, and I forget who I was then. I lose a lot of myself between those 2 points, right? And so it's ultimately just going back to that time where you felt fulfilled, where you felt good, where you felt like you weren't empty, and looking at that point in time and reliving perhaps some of those things that you were doing. Perhaps you can go back and relive some of those things and realize that you have found this new fulfillment, right? Or maybe it's something you haven't even found yet. It might be something you need to go explore a little bit. Be curious about something, right? Go out and be curious about, maybe you want to go rock climbing. So you start rock climbing. And you realize that you're really enjoying rock climbing, and then it really makes you feel alive. that sense of emptiness kind of dissipates and goes away. And then this may lead you to thinking, well, man, if rock climbing did that, I've always wanted to do salsa dancing. Well, hey, go salsa dancing. Now maybe that's a hit or miss, but nonetheless, you tried it. You're trying to fulfill this emptiness because, we think that to fulfill the emptiness is a checklist of things. And the checklist, once it's all completed, you feel like you're even more emptier than you were before. And when you're more emptier than you were before, then you wonder, why did I even essentially put myself in this position, right? It's because you were trying to achieve, you were trying to show other people that you could do it. You try to prove to yourself that you could do it, and you have done it. But yes, sometimes you do forget yourself. You do lose yourself. You lose your identity in achieving these things, that you forget to have fun. When you stop forgetting to have fun, this is when it can, you start feeling a little empty, because you're not satisfying the other part, that curiosity part of yourself. You're that kid in you that wants to go out and do things, right? Be adventurous and explore things in life. That should be you. That's you. You still have that person inside you, and that's the biggest thing, is to do these things. So start exploring, finding these things that are going to make you feel fulfilled, because ultimately, our time is ticking. There's 1 minute every day ticking down, wasted, if you are not out there exploring your curiosity, being adventurous, living the life that you want to live. But you may be saying, well, hey, you know what? I got so many responsibilities, I can't do the things I want. Well, I think at this point in your life, if you're asking yourself this question about why you feel so empty, I think you need to make that a priority. Because if you are not happy because of this emptiness, that's going to start bleeding into other things. It's going to start affecting into other things, and perhaps all these things that you built up, maybe one day they won't be there anymore, because you started reflecting without even knowing it, the fact that you felt empty inside. But there's nothing wrong with that. You're right. We lose ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we just got to find our way back. You got to find those things that can help fulfill us. And that is on you. That is finding what you enjoy, what makes you feel alive. If you know what makes you feel alive, then go do that thing as much as possible. If you don't know what makes you feel alive, then you know what? Hey, you just really have to go explore. Explore those things and see what makes you feel alive. There's something out there. There's millions of things you could be doing. So don't ever think that you're not ever gonna find something. So hey, I hope this has helped you. Because if you're having that feeling of emptiness, it's just temporary. You'll find it. You'll find what makes you live again. You'll find what excites you again. You'll be living life again, back on track, no worries. You just have to believe in yourself. Don't feel bad for yourself. We all get to that point. We all have points of our lives where we feel empty. Perhaps there are times where we felt like we've done so much that we felt empty for a long time. But that's okay. Just get back on track. Find what makes you become alive again. And all will be well. Just make that a priority, and you'll realize things will get better.